Liverpool 2, Brighton 1. First of all, a really, really good game to watch, Janusz Michallik. And Liverpool going 3 points clear at the top before Manchester City face Arsenal. They were made to work for it, but with the chances they created, there was no doubt they deserved to get all 3 points.
Absolutely. In the end, really, I mean, not just in the end, it was a dominating performance from Liverpool. It has to be said, right? It made it more interesting early on because loss of concentration. They conceded that goal. They had that issues really on Liverpool's right-hand side. As Adingra, it seems to me in the first 45 minutes, had the run of Anfield. But ultimately, I think that they worked through the game. I guess with all the games, we can always say that you almost have to find a rhythm after international week, don't you? Right? And it seemed to me that way, that a massive surprise with that goal from Brighton, and not necessarily that Brighton aren't capable of that, but I think they worked themselves through the game. And in the end, that could have been not much, much more, even though it was nervy in the end, as it always is.
How good was Alexis McAllister today?
Well, I mean, that partnership, he's unbelievable. And you know, the funny part is, of course, we saw, I think yesterday in the press conference, or I'm not sure where I saw it, Jurgen Klopp singing praises of McAllister, right? How important, how much he surprised him, how great of a player he is. And he proved that once again. He was sensational, even in the first half, the first 20, 25 minutes. I'm sure, Mark, you remember, I mean, he played behind to Salah probably 2 or 3 times in the first 20 minutes. And we were talking about Salah being wasteful. It's not like they were all great chances, but the way he played him through, he's done it to others. I mean, he was absolutely sensational.
Mohamed Salah could have scored 5 or 6 goals today, but he got 1. We'll get to that shortly. Danny Welbeck gives Brighton the lead inside a couple of minutes. Luis Diaz equalises just before the half-hour mark. And Brighton kind of took the game to Liverpool a bit more in the first half. So what happened at half-time and in the second half as far as their game plan is concerned? Because we saw for Liverpool, they shifted Mo Salah more central and Darwin Núñez came more to the right-hand side.
I think the biggest thing I get out of it, and you know, I don't want to say Jurgen Klopp never ceases to amaze me, but I mean, there was a massive, massive issue, as I've mentioned, on the right-hand side. Yeah. Not necessarily with Conor Bradley, because I mean, we have to get used to it. I mean, if you look at his stats, I mean, you don't even have to, but he was so good going forward, and that's the role, right? Trent Alexander-Arnold, often we talk about his issues defensively. I think Conor Bradley is a little bit better with that, but I mean, he had the green light to go forward, and not only did Conor Bradley do a great job with that, but I mean, even defensively, his recoveries were very good. But I think Kwanzaa had a massive issue. He's such a young player, and it seemed to me that there were so many warning signs. I mean, you know, they were losing, and the game was always going to be in the balance. And I said to myself, I mean, he has to put Konate, because at first you say, well, maybe it's Bradley's issue, right? I mean, ultimately he's a right back. He should be able to deal with Adingra. But I don't think that was the case, because if you do get a green light to go forward, you're not going to recover, and you need you need covering from Kwanzaa, and he wasn't doing a very good job. And you say to yourself, well, with Konate at his pace, I mean, you could have even, I don't know, maybe even switch Gomez to the right side. But I think that Kwanzaa, for me, in such a big game at halftime where everything is in the balance, and you have Manchester City, Arsenal coming up, 3-horse race, I think I would have put I've made that Konate in the team, but he didn't. And I think the team grew from it. He showed once again his belief in every player, no matter how young. And I don't necessarily think there was that much of a change, because you knew that, you know, at some stage in the second half in particular, Liverpool are always going to come at you, Mark.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Janusz, because he's got options. He could play Joe Gomez as a right centre-back. He could do Tsimikas as a left-back. So you've kind of got the two in there. But he's gone with Kwanzaa. And I don't think it's too dissimilar with Conor Bradley and Trent Alexander-Arnold. They both want to get forward. So in essence, the right centre-back is playing 2 positions. But I thought in the second half, they were much better as far as gaps were concerned. And Adingra didn't get as many opportunities. So into the second half, and it was more Liverpool than it was in the first half, with less Brighton as well. So it seemed to be a case of when and not if Liverpool would score. And I think the goal came at a right time, because our Anfield wasn't getting nervy yet. And then when that goal went, that was a kind of big sigh of relief. And it was Mo Salah who eventually took one. But what an assist from Alexis McAllister.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, in that first half, I'm sure you had a moment, first 20, 25, maybe even 30 minutes, you said to yourself, where's Nunez? Where's
Mm.
Diaz, right? I mean, Salah was always there. I mean, had his chances, half chances, maybe wasteful, maybe not, right? But, so I think these players got into the game just a little bit more. Obviously, Luis Diaz more than him. But look, it just shows, we talk about Jurgen Klopp being irreplaceable, and that's obvious. But I think that Mo Salah, there's going to be, I don't know how long it's going to take for him. I mean, he can just his presence, even if he just stood there, he's so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay attention to him with and without the ball, if he's scoring or not. I mean, some weighted passes that he's put, right? I mean, remember that disallowed goal, right? Just by inches. I mean, that ball through, he's so good. Mark, you and I think, talked maybe, I don't know if it was you, but perhaps against Manchester United in the Cup game, how obviously he was taken off, but I would have kept him there, and Liverpool would have won that game. I know he's coming off injury and he, was deep into the game, but this is what I think of Mo Salah, and I'm sure I'm not the only one here, because really what's changed was McAllister and Salah, these two really pulling the strings for the entire team.
When we speak about Mo Salah, first of all, it's a surprise. That was his first Premier League start since New Year's Day, and we're nearly in April. Now, there's reasons for that. Obviously, he went away with his country to AFCON, and he's been hurt. There's ring rust there. Now, there's two ways to look at that, but the way I want to look at this is the following. 12 chances he had today. That's more than any other player in Premier League history since football was invented, of course, in 1992. But he's there and he's taking them. And if he's rusty right now, that's only a concern for the other teams, because he's not going to be rusty for long. One of these days, that's going to be 3-4 goals for him. And you need that in a championship title race, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not going to make any excuses for him. I mean, should he have had more? Absolutely. There's going to be games that, that this is going to happen again. But ultimately, he's a player that scores important goals, right? I mean, how many times have we seen it? There's been other games where he's missed his chances, but when you count on somebody to put away, it seems that's always him, or most of the time. And in particular in a game like this, I mean, look how many difference makers weren't on the pitch, right? If I look at Trent, if I look at Jota, if I look at Curtis Jones, the way he's been playing this season, even if I look at Robertson, I mean, these are key players that when they're missing, sometimes maybe some of the automatic things that go in a game, and I'm talking about Salah, maybe knowing who's overlapping, who's going to be there, when they're going to be there, right? You tend to do a little bit more. And I don't know if that's an excuse or not. I tend to think that he should have had more than one, but if I was his teammate, you always know that there's going to be a time where he's going to put it away. He shows up at important times. It seems to me like always. Of course, somebody's going to point out games where he had sitters in the last minute, but I think everybody understands that. As I've said, he to me is irreplaceable for Liverpool, and that's not news, perhaps, but you'll see when he's gone how much he's going to be missed.
Yeah, I'm not bitter at all. It's not like I captained him in Fantasy Premier League today or anything, instead of captaining a couple yesterday in Cole Palmer and Heung-min Son. Finally, I'm going to give you an opportunity to pick one of three teams. Now, this is us speaking prior to the Man City-Arsenal game.
Yes.
Do you want to ride the coattails all the way to the title right now of Liverpool with that lead at the top of the table, of Arsenal, or of Manchester City?
I'm going to go with Liverpool, and we can look at schedules. Whose schedule is more difficult or that, and you can make a case, right? But I think at this stage of the season, when you have 10 games left and it's 9, obviously for Liverpool, it's what matters now. Look where they are; they have a little bit of a cushion. I think after Sheffield United, that cushion, at least will stay the same, maybe even more. Who knows? Maybe they'll even get their goal difference a little bit better. With no disrespect to Sheffield United, it doesn't have to happen, but logic tells you that. And I think they did what they needed to do, is to put pressure on two of these teams. What Liverpool needed to do is make sure that they get rid of at least one, right, to make it head-to-head race. And I think that game against that we're going to see next is going to do that to some degree. Draw is not bad because obviously both teams are losing 2 points. I almost think Liverpool my gut feeling tells me that they forced Arsenal to win this game, because if they lose, I think Arsenal is going to fall away from this race.